Big time squash coming up on SportsMax, the home of champions. Another big time event set for Kingston this weekend. The Jamaica Karting Association Championships continue Sunday at the Palisades International Raceway with the 5th race meet of the season. Several young karters are expected to compete, but there is huge excitement among many in seeing one particular racer, Alex Powell. The 14-year-old prodigy created history as an 11-year-old in 2019 when he signed for the Mercedes-AMG team, becoming the first Caribbean driver to join a Formula One team. Alex, the son of Jamaican rally driver John Powell, created history on the track in June this year when he won the FIA Karting European Championships in Sweden, the first driver from these parts from the Caribbean to do so. Alex joins us in studio as he gears up for Sunday's meet at Palisades International Raceway. Alex, welcome to the SportsMax Zone.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent. The first thing I want to ask, your antecedents. You are Jamaican, but I know that you've lived in a few places. Where were you born? Where have you spent time? Tell us all about that.
So I was born in Miami, Florida, but my dad is from Jamaica, and he lived in Jamaica for the majority of his life. And my mom is from Colombia, so a big mix in the family. So I moved immediately. I was born in Miami, but I immediately moved to Trinidad when I was like 5 days old. So pretty much at the beginning of my life, I lived in the Caribbean. And I lived there until I was about 11. But at that time, it started to become very difficult from the expense side of things and also jet lag, traveling from Europe to the Caribbean back and forth. It really became a hassle. So we had to make the tough decision to move to Europe and leave, everything that we knew behind in the Caribbean. It turned out to be a move that was the right move, but it was a very difficult move at the time. I moved away, not only myself but my whole entire family, which shows how much you have to sacrifice for the dream that I'm chasing.
Yeah, wow. I read something that said you learned to drive in a parking lot. Tell us about that. I
did. So the first time I ever drove was in a parking lot in Trinidad and Tobago. They put some cones on the track, and they taught me, okay, this is the gas pedal, this is the brake pedal, and the steering wheel. So the principles of...
How old are you?
I was probably 6 years old, 7 years old, so
wow.
a very young age. And I was a little bit scared when I first got in it. But the more I started to drive, I started to enjoy it a lot more. So then we went from driving in Trinidad, we went to drive in Barbados. We did a few races there, about 6 months. And then we went to the international stage in the USA. And I raced there for about a year and a half. And I got a lot of experience there, some exposure to more drivers, so I had also more competition, to race against. And then, in 2017, at the end of 2017, we were approached by a team owner in Italy, which asked us to do a test over there in the following year. So, of course, we agreed to that, and the test went very well. So we signed with this team in 2018. We did the whole 2018 season. And that season was, a very important season for me. Yeah. And I did very well in that season as well. And that got the attention of the Mercedes program, which then I was signed to in 2019. So pretty much since 2018, I've only been racing in Europe. I've done a few races back home and some in the US as well. But, primarily the focus has been in Europe. And I've been there full-time, living there since 2019, so it's really been it's been tough, but I've also learned a lot, not only as a driver but as a person as well.
Yeah, you speak about back home and your love for the Caribbean, but not having any choice but to move away from home. How does it feel now to come back and take part in competitions like that?
It feels great. It feels great to be back because it's been almost 2.5 years of not being back home due to the pandemic. So yeah, it's been too long not being back home. So to finally be back and to be around, my old friends, everybody that I know, to finally see them again, for me, it's a great feeling. Unfortunately, I'm not here for too long because the racing schedule this year is super compact. But anyway, it's great that we could find the time to come back here and to at least spend a few days back home.
Yeah. Tell me a bit more now about the racing schedule that you have coming up.
Well, the most important race of the year is coming up for me. It's the FIA World Championship, which is a race that we started preparing for from the very beginning of the season. But the preparations intensified really from last month. And it goes to show how much work has to go into one single race, because the World Championship, it's not a series, it's one race. So if you win that race, you're the champion of the world, which is a great
Yes.
a great thing to have on your resume. So to start preparation from so early on in the season, it shows how important the race is. So yeah, as of now, the full focus is on that race. It's on the 15th to the 18th of September. There will be a lot of drivers there from all over the world. That race normally has more drivers than usual because they all want to win, the one race.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be a difficult race, but I'm confident that we have all the tools to do well there.
Yeah, basketballers, the young ones, they say they have hoop dreams, and the young footballers, they want to be the next Ronaldo, the next Messi, and so forth. I was talking to you off camera about the other sports you like. You said, well, for you it's just motorsport. The heroes that you have, if you have any, in this business of motorsport?
Well, definitely the person that I idolize the most is Lewis Hamilton, because of where he came from and what he's been able to achieve. For me, is something incredible. But of course, I don't only idolize him. I idolize all 20 drivers on the Formula One grid, because they all had to do so much to get where they are. So yeah, of course, Lewis Hamilton. He's somebody that I've always looked up to my whole entire life. But I think each and every F1 driver has their own story that I think other drivers, upcoming drivers, can learn from. So that's something that I like to look at as well. Where the drivers came from, and how hard they had to work to get where they are today.
Alex, you stress the travel that's involved in the career that you've decided to pursue, and of course the sacrifices that your family has had to make to bring you closer to where the action is. People don't realize that this business of elite motor racing, Formula One, and the steps to get to Formula One, very, very demanding. Give us an idea of some parts of the world that you've traveled to, and I want you to also comment on whether you think that you have a normal childhood when you look and see boys your age doing things that you don't have the time to do.
He's driving.
Yeah, talk to me about that.
Well, basically we've been around the whole entirety of Europe. So this season we've gone to Spain, Italy, Sweden, France, Germany. We were in Belgium last year. So we've gone a lot around Europe. So I don't think there's too many places that we haven't been to for a race in Europe, just because there's so many races in the season. So 1 week you're in Sweden, and then you have a week off, and then you're immediately in Spain, and then you're back in Italy to do some driving. So it's a packed schedule. But on your question about do I think I have a normal childhood? No, I definitely don't. I've been so deeply involved in motorsport from such a young age that I missed out on a lot of things that other kids have in their childhood that
I take for granted.
Yes, exactly, that they take for granted. But it's been a dream of mine since I was 7 or 8 years old. So I have been working so hard for this dream that I have to sacrifice a lot of things in my childhood, and I know I'll have to sacrifice things in the future as well. I'll do it for the goal that I have.
And I definitely hope that you achieve that goal based on the sacrifices. How would you say your form has been this season?
I would say the improvement this season has been immense. I think it's been a big learning season for me. I've learned more in this season probably than I have in any other season. But definitely in the past 6 months, there's been a big improvement in the results side of it. I was able to win the last 2 events of the FIA European Championship and be on the podium in 3 of the 4 events.
Yeah.
I lost the European Championship by 2 points, so I finished second. But it just shows how how competitive we were this season and how much improvement we made. And the beginning of the season was really tough because I just moved into the new category, racing against guys that are 21, 22 years old. So, you know, they're a lot more mature. They have a lot more experience than I do. But I would say this season has been probably one of my better seasons in go-karting.
Here's this question now, Alex. I know that for athletes who compete in concert with a machine, or in the case of jockeys, they compete in concert with a horse. One of the fundamental things before a jockey gets to mount up on a horse, they have to understand the horse. So they know joints and where a horse may be having discomfort, so they can say, trainer, I think he has a back problem, or I think there's an issue on the right hind leg or the left foreleg or whatever. A bicycle racer will be able to say, oh, I think this needs to be adjusted. Is it the same thing for a motor racer, that they have to understand the car, the vehicle itself, and be able to identify things that are wrong with it? Or is it that someone takes care of that and all you do is focus on how to drive the machine?
No, it's the same principles as you know, a jockey or some other sports. You know, you have to understand the ins and outs of the vehicle you're driving. You know, so for me, I have to understand the ins and outs of my go-kart. You know, what's wrong with it, how it's handling, what I need to fix, and that all comes from me. You know, nobody else can tell me what's wrong with it because I'm the only one driving it. So you know, if something is cracked, maybe the mechanic that's mechanicking for me can tell me, okay, the chassis is cracked, so we need to change it. But if it's something on the driving side of things, it's only me that can put that information and take that to the mechanic or whoever's, you know, working on the cart. I'm the only one that can tell them what's wrong with the cart, which is, you know, something. It's a big thing to have on your shoulders.
Massive responsibility.
Exactly, it's a massive responsibility to have. Because you have to understand everything with the chassis. The chassis is the cart, by the way. So you have to understand everything with the cart, and you need to be able to identify what's wrong with it and what works well.
Well, Alex, let me tell you this. I haven't been to Palisados in a long time. I'm going to be there on Sunday. And last thing before you go, what can you promise those of your friends and family, I'm sure, who will be there, and of course those who have heard about you from your friends and family and are coming to see you put on a spectacle? What can they expect on Sunday at Palisados?
Well, I'll be there. I'll be there from early in the morning up until about 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not sure if I'll be driving. You know, I have a few people trying to convince me to drive, but I have the World Championship coming up soon, so you know I have to be prepared for that. I don't know. Maybe I might do a few laps in the cart, but I'm not too sure about that. But definitely I'll be there. So I'd love to see everybody to come out on Sunday, and of course watch the races and seeing the kids that are racing this weekend who also have the same future aspirations that I do. So I think it will be great for all those young kids driving this weekend to have people watching them and supporting them.
And I'm sure they're looking forward to meeting you.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah, we wish you all the very best. We wish you all the very best. Listen, Mercedes youth team driver, passing through the hands of the man who mentored the likes of Lewis Hamilton himself, Fernando Alonso. The boy has more than something special about him, and this young man, very, very impressive, and we certainly wish him all the very best. Alex, again, all the best to you. We hope that you stay fit and all together, and that you achieve everything that your talent dictates that you should get out of racing.
Thank you so much.
I'll
do my best.
Excellent, sir. We take a quick break on the SportsMax Zone. Back in a moment.